Hey guys, welcome to We Don't Know Her, where we talk about people we may not know, but they put their whole life out there and we can't look away. Right now, we are right in the middle of a timeline for the show Seeking Sister Wife on TLC, and we are doing the couple Garrick and Danielle Merrifield. We started doing this over on TikTok, but TikTok is not wanting it there for some reason, so we're gonna continue over here on YouTube, where we will also post all of the other timelines. So if you are new here, this is everything I've done on TikTok so far, part 1 of this timeline. That's why it may look kind of choppy and weirdly put together, but I will be recording part 2 YouTube style, and that should be out soon. If you are here from TikTok thinking this was gonna be everything after I've already covered, I'm sorry, it's not. It's probably everything you have seen already. But thank you for being here, and just give me a couple days to get part 2 together. So here is part 1 of the Danielle and Garrick timeline. This show right here, Seeking Sister Wife, is one of those shows you watch and you go, this isn't real, this is scripted. And then a few minutes later you go, oh my gosh, is this real? I think this is real. Specifically, the couple Garrick and Danielle Merrifield. I am beyond fascinated. My jaw's on the floor through every single scene. So naturally, we need to do a Garrick and Danielle timeline, and this is part 1. Before we jump in, I just want to clarify, yes, his name is Garrick, not Derek, not Garrett, but Garrick. And if Joel Osteen and Jim Jones had a baby, it would be him. We first meet Garrick and Danielle on season 3 of Seeking Sister Wife, which aired in 2021, but this was filmed towards the end of 2019 into 2020. They had been married for 13 years at that point. They met in church when they were younger, and Garrick was dating Danielle's best friend and then jumped over to her. So no red flags or anything. They live in Colorado. They are in their early 30s, and they have 2 children together, 2 sons, who they homeschool. They jump right into telling us that God wants them to live a plural lifestyle. They say they don't come from a polygamous background, but they do center their lives around the Bible, and multiple people in that book have multiple wives. And Garrick says, quote, gee, the people in there are godly people and God loved them, and it would be a great way to be like God. Danielle says she was shocked when Garrick first started bringing this up. She says she did not want this lifestyle at first, but then she started praying about it and she realized it would mean more love for their family. So they hit up the dating apps and they start seeking other women. And they meet Roberta, Bert, as they call her. They met her on a polygamy dating site. She is 32. They have been courting her for almost a year and a half at this point. Garrick says he first seen her profile picture and he loved her long hair, her skin, and her curves, so he messaged her. It was an instant connection. God approved. This will be their first plural relationship for all 3 of them. But she lives in Brazil, and she speaks minimal English, so they have to use a translator to communicate. And it is a struggle because if you miss a word or your voice cracks, the whole conversation gets messed up. So they tried to get Bert to the States with a travel visa, but it was denied. So before the show aired, they had met up halfway in Cabo. Danielle and Garrick brought their children with them, and Roberta brought her mother. And they tell us it went very well. Danielle says her and Garrick talked about the rules and intimacy before the trip, and they, aka Danielle, did not want any kind of intimacy to happen until they were for sure that Bert would be a sister wife. But don't worry, Garrick brought a ring on their first trip. And on the second night, he popped the question and asked Bert if she would marry him, and she said yes. Danielle lets us know that was the first night that Garrick and Bert were intimate. She says it was really hard for her. She cried, but it's what it's supposed to be. So they want Bert to come live with them in Colorado. So they hired an attorney. The attorney lets them know the only way this will be possible is if Garrick and Bert legally get married. So the only plausible option here is that Garrick and Danielle, 13 years of marriage and 2 children, get a legal divorce. So yeah, they're gonna go through with it. They are in the middle of all of the legal paperwork with the visa, the divorce, custody. Danielle says her parents are having a really hard time with this. Garrick says his family disowned them and they no longer speak. I guess his parents told them that they are demon possessed. Both families on both sides are very religious. Anyways, the red flags are turning into full-blown sirens at this point because Danielle is upset about this divorce.
Divorce is definitely a sore subject for me. Garrick and I did get married very young and went through a lot of struggles and a lot of hard times. And there was a lot of times we didn't think that we would make it. So yeah, there was times because of that, like Garrick did print off papers and was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, and I didn't blame him, but with God.
So the Merrifields have been through a lot. I found this on the Seeking Sister Wife subreddit. If you want to pause to read, they filed for bankruptcy in 2014. And if you want to also pause to read this, Danielle allegedly faced a DUI while her children were in the car in 2016. But yeah, they do the damn thing. They go through with the divorce on national television. So I'm also wondering if this is considered fraud. Before they walk into court, they take their rings off and hide them in the vehicles. They make sure to walk in at separate times. I mean, they were strategic about this.
Do you believe that your marriage is irretrievably broken?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Miss Merrifield. Do you need a tissue?
Yes, please.
Garrick says he just feels so emotional seeing Danielle cry. Can't you tell? So the immigration process will take anywhere between 6 to 12 months to process, but they can't wait that long. They want to meet up with Bert in Mexico again. It will be just the three of them on this trip. It's been about a year since they have seen her. Okay, so this is Danielle's brother, Sam, and this is her sister-in-law, Samantha. So Sam and Sam. They are all very close. Garrick and Danielle's brother also own a construction company together, so there's a lot of mixed business going on here. But Sam and Sam are just like, what are you guys doing here? Garrick says, listen, this is what God wants for us. Danielle then drops the info that Bert and Garrick want to have a baby as soon as possible. Danielle's brother is like, okay, what if she has a baby and she's unable to come to the States? What are you gonna do? Garrick says him and his family may have to move to another country then. It's all in God's hands. So they fly to Mexico where they will be meeting their Brazilian bombshell sister wife. Their words, not mine. And they all reunite.
This is real?
Garrick says Roberta's so tiny, so they call her tiny wife, and they call Danielle the large wife. You can't make this up. Okay, so a little background with Bert. She says she has only dated men before, but when she went to college, the college board member started talking about Mormons, ? And she says she saw herself in those women. So that's what led her to the polygamy dating site where she met Danielle and Garrick. She says she really feels for her sister Danielle going through with the divorce, and she's going to make sure she does not feel left out. Garrick says they don't believe in any kind of intimacy between Danielle and Roberta, but instead a close sisterhood, which is as intimate as a man and woman. Garrick tells Bert via translator that they booked 2 hotel rooms and Danielle will be staying in her own room, and he gets Roberta all to himself. Danielle says it's really hard to see Garrick and Bert together. She is still adjusting. So they get into their hotel rooms, and very quickly, via translator, Garrick is like, let's get rid of Danielle. Let's tuck Danielle into her room. Roberta asks Danielle if she's sure she's okay with this. Danielle says, yeah, she's fine. In a talking head, Danielle says she hopes she doesn't hear anything because they share a wall and it's very thin, but she will wear headphones. Roberta cannot believe Danielle's okay with this. She says it's very awkward, but they will try to be quiet. The next morning, when cameras go back into their hotel room, they tell us that Roberta felt bad for Danielle, so she asked her to come back to their room. They stayed up until 2 a.m. talking and hanging out, and then they all slept in the same bed together. Danielle says it really means a lot to her that they would put their intimacy on hold so they could all be together that first night. And then, in a talking head, Garrick tells on himself and says when Danielle went to go get her things from her room, him and Roberta were intimate. I'm just going to play the clip because there is no way I can describe the level of sociopath going on here.
After Roberta demanded that she stay the night in the room with us, Danielle had to go back and get her stuff and stuff, so me and Roberta were able to be intimate quickly before Danielle came back, and it was a good laugh because Roberta was laughing, "Oh no, sister, be back."
Does Danielle know that?
No.
Danielle is under the impression that Garrick and Roberta put their intimacy to the side that first night so she could be included. Not knowing, they did a quickie about 2 minutes before she re-entered the room and got into that bed with them. So the first full day there, they are all looking at different venues for a wedding because Roberta and Garrick want to get married. They want to get married very quickly so they can get the K1 process going and Bert can come to the States to live with them. But Danielle is struggling. She admits it's making her very jealous watching them plan a ceremony. She mentions how her and Garrick were very young when they got married and it was just in a field somewhere. And this ceremony will be beautiful. She tells them she definitely wants to be involved, though. She would like to be the maid of honor. Garrick couldn't care less about Danielle's feelings. He is just focusing all on Roberta's feelings. It is painful to watch, and the producers actually break the fourth wall a few times with them during the talking heads when they are asking Danielle questions.
There's still those fears that come with it. Like, technically, him and I are not married anymore. What kind of fears? I guess the only emotion that I really truly feel is that, over time people can change. And that maybe over time, Garrick's feelings or Roberta's feelings could change. For you? Yeah. Can I take a minute? Yeah.
So finally, they notice that Danielle is struggling. Actually, I think it was Roberta who noticed. So she grabbed the translator and she asked Danielle if she is okay. Danielle tells them that it is just bringing up old feelings back from when they first started looking for a sister wife because she was very jealous and insecure and it was a very dark time for her. She's worried that Garrick will be happier with someone else. She also says in a talking head she wishes Garrick would reassure her more that he's not going to leave her because he's not doing anything. He does not care. She tells Roberta via translator that she is playing a tough role, but she is not tough on the inside. Roberta basically tells her if her husband did not love her, he would not be there right now. Fast forward to the next day, Garrick and Roberta tell us they had a very hot night together. Roberta says they barely even got any sleep. They cannot keep their hands off each other. Danielle slept in her own room. She says it was another hard night. Later on that day, they go out to lunch together and the host comes out with tequila and he calls it the baby maker. Garrick very quickly and very excitedly points to Danielle and goes, "Oh, none for her," and then points to Bert saying she needs all of it. Danielle is trying to play along with the joke, pointing at Bert saying, "Oh yeah, give her the whole bottle." It's hard to watch. Danielle says no baby making yet. She wants them to be married first. Anyways, Roberta gets a very strange look on her face, and she says she wants the translator. She says in a talking head, it is time to tell Danielle the truth about that first night quickie.
Declarada todas as verdades, antes de você voltar, eu e Garrick tivemos momento íntimo.
I need to tell you something. The night you slept in our room before you came back and called, that we had an intimate moment. I didn't tell you because I didn't know if it was going to hurt you or not. But I need to speak. Because like you guys said.
Yeah.
great. That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm glad that we can be open and honest.
Aww.
Yeah. So did you use protection?
We protected you.
What does that mean? Oh my God.
We did. We were smart.
Did you use protection?
Yeah. Não bebeis antes da cerimônia.
Don't drink this before the ceremony. The
Baby.
Oh, baby.
For your wedding night, I'll get you a bottle of Baby Maker.
There you go.
Baby Maker.
Wedding present.
In a talking head, Danielle says she is replaying that night back in her head, and she just can't shake the feeling that she was lied to. She brings up that she was so happy she did not spend that first night alone and that they included her, but now she wishes she had been alone. She also brings up the fact that she slept in that bed just moments after. Garrick, on the other hand, says it wasn't planned or meant to be malicious. It's just what a plural relationship is. Anyways, just minutes after that all happened, Garrick wants the translator back because he wants to tell them he wants Roberta all to himself. He has a special surprise planned for Roberta, and they want to make it a solo date. He wants Danielle to stay behind to handle business.
Yeah.
Surprise?
Yeah.
Okay. I love surprise.
You got to bring your Brazilian bikini.
Bikini? Wow.
Ah.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. Oh, yes.
Maybe you could do a little business stuff for me, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, Garrick and Bert go out on their solo date. They go boating, and Danielle is left by herself. She calls her sister-in-law and says this is a very hard trip. She tells her about the first night quickie scandal, and the sister-in-law is just like, yeah, that's rough. She then admits if it was up to her, she would not choose this lifestyle, but God put it in their path. She then starts wondering what will happen when Bert comes to the States to live with them and they are living day-to-day life. She says their life is very busy with kids and work, and her and Garrick barely go on dates as it is. So she's concerned that it will be easy for Garrick to leave her in the dust and start over with Bert. She hopes God will deliver her from her jealousy she is having. Garrick and Bert also discuss this on their solo date, and Bert says she doesn't know if she can do this if Danielle is not going to be happy with the lifestyle. Garrick says it's okay, God will deliver Danielle from her jealousy. But Bert is like, people's hearts are involved here. I hope she is delivered from her jealousy, but I cannot be with you if Danielle's not okay. Garrick, in his own twisted way, sees this as a red flag. So naturally, the God talk intensifies.
Acabar se afastando.
Sometimes makes me a little worried that I won't be with you in America and she will be jealous of me, and I will no longer be able to be with you and even loving you very much, but I cannot hurt my sister's heart. Love, God is on our side and will work all things out. So we can trust in Him that He will make all things right, because sister seeks God daily.
Bert and Garrick arrive back to the hotel after their solo date, and Danielle opens up to Garrick about how she's been feeling about the first night quickie. It seemed like Danielle was more upset with Roberta than she was with Garrick about that first night. She's worried that Roberta is only in this for Garrick. So Garrick is on his toes with this, and he tells Danielle that Roberta and him have been very concerned for Danielle as well, and Roberta even told him on their solo date that she would give everything up if Danielle was not happy. She would even give Garrick up. He does it in that soft, creepy voice, but it works because Danielle immediately starts crying, and she says, "That's unreal." She realizes that Roberta has a very deep and compassionate heart, and she's not just in this just for Garrick. You can see her almost feel guilty about the way she's feeling. Anyways, Danielle has to basically beg Garrick to reassure her. And I'll just play the...
I just want to just know that I'm enough for you.
Oh, yeah. You're definitely enough for me.
Thank you for loving me.
Well, thank you for loving me.
So is it my turn for a quickie?
It's their last night in Mexico, so they all go out to a really nice dinner together. Roberta thanks Danielle for going through with the divorce so she can come live in the States with them. She tells Danielle that divorce is just paperwork, and Garrick will always love the both of them. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier that all three of them constantly pet each other. Anyways, we finally see Garrick showing emotion, and it's because he's gonna miss Bert when they leave. So we see both Bert and Danielle petting him ferociously, trying to comfort him. It's a cringe fest.
Saudade? Me too, yeah.
About missing Bert? Yeah.
Miss.
Danielle says she does feel sad for Garrick, but she hopes that he will be happy when they get back home and, they see their children and stuff. So when they do get back home to Colorado, Garrick is definitely moping. But Danielle is surrounded by support. Her parents are there, and her sister-in-law and her brother, and they're all just asking her, how did the trip go? And she's like, it was rough. She does admit that she feels like Bert deceived her with the first night quickie. Garrick, I guess, did nothing wrong, but okay. In a talking head, Danielle's sister-in-law says that Danielle has never really wanted this lifestyle, and when they first started, she used to cry on her shoulder. They then directly asked Danielle, do you think Garrick will have a favorite, or do you think he will treat Roberta differently than he treats you? Danielle says he did treat Bert differently on the trip, and it was hard to watch. In a talking head, Danielle's mom says she's worried about Danielle, but she knows she's just trying to please her husband. Oh boy. And then we get this talk between Garrick and Danielle. And again, it's about the first night quickie. She basically tells Garrick that she's still not over it. And then Garrick jumps right into gaslighting and says, what, you don't feel reassured by her love? Danielle just gives a long pause. And then he says, it wasn't planned or anything. It was spontaneous. It just happened. But that's the point, is Danielle is upset because if they wanted to do a quickie, then why did they even invite her into the room at all? They just go in circles with each other.
And everything that came out about you and Roberta being intimate just makes me feel like a third wheel, like I should have just left.
But why?
Because I feel like in your heart you wanted to be intimate. That was your ultimate thing. That's what you desired from that night. If you're honest with yourself.
Did I have any conversation with you that I wasn't like, I have to do this, or I'm going to be upset and not okay with it? I know you're assuming that, right? No. And I'm not denying that I wasn't thinking I'd want to be intimate with her. But what does that have to do with me saying I won't be angry if you stay? I don't know why.
Because it was like I was intruding. I would have just
let you guys. So you'd rather me just say, no, don't stay over. I don't want you to be here.
No, I'm just saying I feel like maybe you should have expressed how you felt better. That's all I'm saying.
Garrick then asked Danielle if the roles were switched and it were her, how would she handle the situation? You can just see Danielle tired. She is tired from this conversation. The fourth wall is broken again. Producers ask Garrick in a talking head if he is concerned that Danielle is only doing this lifestyle for him. He says no, he has no concerns because he knows that Danielle is convinced that God has led her down this path. He used the word convinced. The conversation basically ends with Danielle saying she will try to work on not feeling like a third wheel. Garrick then says, no, I also need to work on letting you know when I want to be intimate with Roberta. That's what he's going to do to make all of this better. In a talking head, Garrick says that Danielle is still struggling because God has not delivered her from her jealousy yet. But he says they will work through it because they both decided to live this life. He says now other people are involved, so it's too late to turn back now. Okay, so fast forward a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure how much later this is because when they got back from the Mexico trip, it was the beginning of 2020, right when COVID hit. So the lockdown started happening. So production shut down for a few months. When production did come back, Garrick and Dannielle said they have grown very close through the pandemic because they have been home daily with each other, but they are still deeply missing Roberta. Roberta got COVID, so she had to move out of her mother's house because her mother has a lot of health issues, and she had to move in with her cousin. And at her cousin's house, there is allegedly no signal, so they have barely heard from her. Dannielle says it's really hard to see Garrick so upset about not being able to communicate with Roberta. They say COVID has really showed them that anything can happen and that tomorrow is not promised. So they let us know that they are planning another trip to Mexico soon to see Bert, and Garrick and Roberta will be trying to have a baby immediately. Garrick and Dannielle will be traveling back to Mexico to meet up with Roberta so Garrick and Roberta can start baby making. They do not want to wait for the K-1 visa to be approved. They do not want to wait until they are married to do so because with COVID, they realize life is just too short. They will be bringing their children along on this trip and Danielle's parents, who have never met Roberta before. So they are telling their family about the new plan because before it was to wait until Bert got to the States and then they got married and then they would start trying for a baby. They also are aware that there is a high chance that if Roberta does get pregnant, she may have the baby in Brazil. Anyways, Danielle's talking to her sister-in-law, Sam, about this, and finally somebody says it. Sam says in a talking head, she doesn't say it to Danielle's face, that she wonders if Garrick is just doing this out of lust. She does continue to grill Dannielle, though, and talk some sense into her, like, what if the K-1 visa doesn't get approved? What if Roberta backs out of this, but now there's a child involved? What if Garrick leaves you and the children to go live in Brazil with Roberta? She also points out that none of them have even lived with each other yet. They have only met each other a few times on vacation, and that's not reality. This all seems to get through to Dannielle because in a talking head, she says, after talking with my sister-in-law, I do have some concerns. She's starting to question if this is a good idea because, you know, once you have a baby, you're tied for life. That thought just came to her at that point. Shortly after this, Dannielle and Garrick celebrate their 13th year anniversary, even though they are now legally divorced. They go out to a nice dinner. The first topic to come up, of course, is Roberta. Garrick says, thank God for bringing sister into their lives. And Danielle's just kind of like, yep. And they continue to spend their whole anniversary dinner talking about Roberta. Garrick mentions that there is no movement in the K-1 visa process right now. Danielle's just like, that sucks. And then she brings up her newfound concerns.
God forbid, but what if her visa did get denied? What if she had a baby there? It could happen, you know?
I mean, yeah, but we can't just stop our life.
No, I don't mean like stop. I'm saying consider it for our family as a whole, for Bert as well as you and I and the kids. So we're prepared for what could possibly happen.
The only thing that concerns me with people thinking that way is where God told, take no thought for tomorrow, for the troubles of today are enough. So you can plan so much.
There's also scriptures about being wise and preparing for the future.
No.
Yeah, planning. There are scriptures about that.
After this conversation in a talking head, Garrick does admit that if Roberta does get stuck in Brazil and has their baby, that he will just have to go live with them for a while. But he is just praying to God that things will work out and God will deliver Roberta to Colorado. It's really hard to talk about this with a straight face. Anyways, the plan is still the plan, and they are full steam ahead with going to Mexico to start the baby making process. Danielle's parents are fully aware what this trip will be, so Garrick can get late or make a baby. He also says he's excited for Danielle's parents to meet Roberta because he considers them as his parents, since his parents abandoned him when they opened up to them about the lifestyle. So they tell us they based this trip around Roberta's ovulation cycle. They are very serious about this. They rent a very nice villa in Cabo, and when they all get there, they walk into the beautiful master bedroom. And in front of the whole family, Garrick goes, "Oh, this will be me and Bert's room." And Danielle's like, "Yeah." Danielle admits she's not too excited about this, and it's just in God's hands. In Talking Heads, Danielle's parents say they do have their concerns. They don't know what to expect on this trip. They are just kind of on this roller coaster. Danielle's mom does admit to Garrick she doesn't know how she's gonna feel when she sees him kissing another woman. Garrick then admits that he's nervous too. He's nervous that Danielle's parents are going to hear the baby making. But don't worry, they will turn up the music. It's in God's hands. So finally, Roberta arrives to the villa, and Garrick, Danielle, and their children all greet her. Garrick and Roberta hug each other for what seems like a long time, while Danielle comforts her children, and they all just blankly stare. Garrick tells Roberta he has a big surprise for her in the kitchen, which is Danielle's parents. She does not know they came along on this trip. And yeah, it was a big surprise. Their first encounter goes well. She quickly refers to them as mom and dad, and Danielle's mom refers to Roberta as daughter. In Talking Heads, Danielle's mom says that she instantly felt a connection with Roberta. Danielle's dad, on the other hand, says he has his concerns because if Roberta does end up getting pregnant on this trip and goes back to Brazil and has the baby in Brazil, that's messy. Later on, Garrick and Roberta get right into baby making, and Danielle is outside with her parents and her children. She asks what they thought of Bert so far, and they all say she's sweet. Her mom says she really admires that Danielle is okay with all this. She says she could never do it. She would be very jealous. And then Danielle's dad jumps in and is like, "I mean, are you okay with this?" Before Danielle can even answer this question, Garrick and Roberta walk out. And poor Danielle's dad gets stuck in the middle of a very cringe situation.
Hot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh la la.
Hot?
Yeah, hot.
So I got the baby maker.
After that, Garrick pulls out the baby making drink and pours them all a shot. He wants to do a toast. He then continues with the speech. Here's to the top. Here's to the middle. Here's to all of us getting a little. This whole entire scene, you have to watch it like this. It's just too much. Anyways, they all awkwardly cheers each other. Danielle downs her whole entire shot quickly. And yeah, they're all celebrating, kind of. I don't know. They're just downing their shots, just trying to get through this. Until Danielle's mom interrupts the baby making celebration with a question. And yeah, it's just another one of those scenes where you go, yeah, I think this is real.
And the baby also.
Oh, baby.
Are you sure that you're ready for a commitment? You haven't really known Roberta that long. Are you sure you're all on board with it?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It would be hard to have a baby, her being so far away and you not being able to see him.
That's true. But, God will work through anything.
But once you get back to Colorado, I mean, how will that be? I mean, you think that'll work out well, or
I do.
like any troubles or anything?
it'll be different.
This does not stop Garrick. The next morning, they continue to baby make while everybody is in the kitchen making breakfast. Garrick is trying to get as many rounds in as possible. I just cannot believe he says and does all this stuff on national television. Roberta also tells him he can have all of the quickies he wants. Danielle is sitting out at the pool by herself, and her mom walks out and says she is concerned for her. She says if Bert does get pregnant, she's worried that Danielle and their children will be left in Colorado by themselves. Danielle says when you are in a relationship, it is important to be selfless. She says she is just working on putting her feelings to the side so Garrick and Bert can start creating their family. Later on, Danielle's dad and Garrick sit down to have a drink with each other. Danielle's dad wants to have a talk with him. First, Garrick asked him what he thinks of Roberta so far, and Danielle's dad kind of throws some shade and is like, well, I haven't really known her for that long, but she seems like a nice lady. But he lets Garrick know that no matter what happens, Danielle needs to be a priority and needs to be taken care of. Garrick is like, yeah, I'll make sure she's a priority, in that soft, creepy voice. Danielle's dad is like, yeah, you better. No shit. It is their last night in Mexico. Garrick says he has very good news. He just received a phone call from his lawyer. The first part of Bert's K-1 visa process has been approved, and there is only one more step after this, which she will most likely be approved, and they are all very excited. They all cheers. This is the last episode of their first season, and it ends with Danielle saying she is so excited to expand their family. She knows that Roberta is the right pick for their family. Moving on to the fourth season of Seeking Sister Wife, which is the Merrifield's second season. I think Garrick found out he maybe should show more affection to his wife/ex-wife on national television. So this is their opening picture. Anyways, it has been about a year and Roberta is still not in the States. Her visa was approved. She can come to the States anytime she wants, but her mom has a lot of health issues, so Roberta is helping her out in Brazil. They did try to have a ceremony during that last trip in Mexico, but nothing is legal until she gets to the States. Also, Danielle lets us know that Garrick was not successful with the baby making with Roberta.
Good for you guys to have a sister.
You better get on those baby making then, huh?
Well, once Bert gets here. Roberta definitely wants to have children. We did try it in Cabo when we went down last November.
Garrick failed on getting her pregnant.
Oh, wow.
We also find out that they have been living in a fifth wheel trailer with their two sons for the past 5 months. They are building a bigger home from scratch in preparation for Roberta and any children that her and Garrick may have in the future. So yeah, they are basically building a compound, but Danielle's parents will also be living with them. They are doing this through his company. It has been a year since they have seen Bert, and they are just kind of playing the waiting game. While they wait, Danielle came up with the genius plan, although they say it was God's plan, that they need to start seeking another wife.
I'm sure hoping that Bert's doing okay. The whole thing with, you wanting to find a third.
Oh my gosh.
Danielle approached me and said, hey, I think maybe God wants us to have another wife. I was shocked.
They say it was very hard for Bert to hear this news because she wants to get there first and settle down with them before they start seeking another wife. Danielle told her that it will balance everything out because when she gets there and her and Garrick are together, Danielle will have somebody there for support. I truly think this is Danielle trying to play some kind of Uno reverse. But Garrick is obviously down with this. Danielle says Bert is just gonna have to be willing to roll with the punches. So yeah, stay tuned for part 6, where it somehow continues to get worser.